Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg, episode 346. We are playing some Returnal here. And I have discovered in my brief time playing this game that I'm not very good at it. You know, I can do most of the stuff fine until I get to, like, the second boss, and then I just get eviscerated. And then it feels like even worse than, like, a Dark Souls game, as far as, like, getting back to that second boss, because you know, you basically have to start over. And it's just like, ugh. That's my overall impression after dying to the second boss again. It's just, ugh. I feel like maybe I need to just, like, continue to, like, you're not meant to do things quickly. You have to sort of try again until you unlock new stuff that's more powerful, and then it's good. Or you just need to sort of get the right setup. That's just how a roguelite is. Whereas, like, Dark Souls, you know, there's no RNG, really. And you can just keep kind of leveling up until you're powerful enough, and then you just go do it. And then if you're not ready and you die, then you just keep going. You just power up some more. I don't know. I mean, like I said when I bought this game and we did the stream, I've never been really into roguelites. I don't mind it if it's like a turn-based thing, because I'm generally kind of good at that. Like Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, I wouldn't say I'm great. But I can at least take my time there and consider all my options, and you know, like every run of Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup is winnable if you just think about it, you know, and you're patient. Here, though, I just feel like I suck. I don't know. It's something. Anyways. Enough talk about Returnal. This week on this channel, we had a lot of board game content. Yes, we did. And sad to say, for some, this coming week we've got more board game content. I am done at this point with recording on Tabletop Simulator. It took a while to get to that point. I mean, there's still plenty of videos to go, but you can rest easy. I did reach a finishing point. There's, like I said, there's one game that I wanted to record and give a shot, give a try to, but the mod on the workshop seems to be broken, and that's Folklore the Affliction, which seemed kind of Bloodborne-esque, I suppose. So I wanted to give that a try, but unfortunately the mod seems to be broken. There's two of them, they're both broken. So I don't know what to do about that. So until those become fixed, I am done with TTS as far as recording goes. In the meantime, since I stopped that, I always need to record something. So I started recording my Fallout series playthrough. Starting with Fallout 1, which I've now finished, so that's all set to go. And I'm partway through Fallout 2 now. Which I know most people are just going to be interested in, like, Fallout New Vegas and stuff, but that's the whole point of the series playthroughs. I get to see the progression. Obviously, I'm pretty well acquainted with the progression of Fallout, and this is more just to, after all these years, to finally get proper playthroughs of the Fallout games on the channel. Considering I use Vault Boy as my profile picture. Seems about time. So yeah, I don't know when I'll upload those, because really, I shouldn't have even mentioned it, because I need to finish the Dragon Quest series first, and we haven't even started uploading 7 yet. So it's gonna be a while. Not to mention the Castlevania series. So yeah, that's what I've been just recording. Aside from that, just mostly, you know, getting ready to move. We're in the packing process now, which is tons of fun. You know, I didn't even think I have that much shit, but once you start actually, like, tallying it all and putting it together in boxes, it's like, oh my god, why do I own all this shit? I was over at my parents' house today for Mother's Day, and I popped down to the basement where I left, you know, like 2/3 of my board game collection. And it's just like, what the fuck? Why the fuck did I invest this much money in this? Like, the World of Warcraft trading card game. Apparently I went through a period where I thought that would be a good thing to buy. I don't know what I was reading at the time or what, that people were like, oh yeah, the WoW TCG, there's nothing really like it. And apparently I became interested enough to buy a bunch of stuff on eBay that I'm sure I paid way too much for. And I never played it once, so that's great. Damn. So, yeah, I mean, it'll all get packed away and filed away at the new house, never to be seen again. Yeah, we also did, we did Returnal for the variety stream on Wednesday, and yesterday Lego and I started up Darkest Dungeon, which we both really enjoyed. I mean, we streamed for 3 hours, and it went by in basically the blink of an eye. Neither of us realized that we had been streaming for 3 hours. So we're pretty excited to get back to that next Saturday. You know, we both acknowledge that shit's gonna hit the fan and it's gonna get way too difficult and annoying, but for now we're really enjoying it. That's a good pick for a game that's turn-based. It's turn-based RPG, but it's got all these different, like, we're never gonna be doing the exact same thing at the same time, you know? We're gonna be on different quests with different characters and builds and things like that, and so it's a good choice, I think, for side-by-side stuff. So I don't know how long it'll go on, but at least next week. Yeah, over on the Exploring series. I released a video on SCP, I want to say 3844. Guessing on that number. Oh, wow. Okay, that worked. And people seem to like that. Another tragic dragon one. Everybody likes tragic dragon stories. And I also worked on a video about the insect hell scenario. Not something that's talked about a great deal. I don't know if there are any other videos about insect hell. I might be the first. Basically just a scenario in which they find this locust that after it eats stuff, it replicates itself, so it splits into 2 locusts, and those locusts can also eat and replicate, and eat and replicate, and eat and replicate. And of course they get loose, and the Foundation tries to contain the problem, but they find that in containment they sort of mutate and they begin being able to eat practically any material. And yeah, it basically becomes insect hell. It's an interesting little canon, I guess. And it sort of ends, I think, on kind of a nice note. I felt the final tale that I talk about, I felt was a nice tale, so, you know, that was good. We'll see what people think about insect hell. I'm not really sure if the title will scare people away or really just like draw them in, because it's hard to tell with SCP audiences. Yeah, so that's what I worked on. Ooh, a shield breaker. As cool as the haptic trigger things were, where you could hold it halfway down to aim normally and aim all the way down to use your special, I just could not get the hang of that. So luckily they include an option to just make L1 your special, which works for me. What's up, Burt man? Yeah, that homing missile, I do like that. The void beam's okay. Yeah, and next week I'm gonna be working on a part 1. It's gonna be a part 1 video. Ho ho ho. Sort of about a 001 proposal. That's part of it, but there's a bunch more to it than that. It is titled Project Palisade. Basically, just another one of those reality-ending threats, and the Foundation works to sort of stop it. You know, like I say, it's not really about... It's not about the reality-ending threat itself. That's just sort of like a MacGuffin, you know? It doesn't matter. It's more about the events of the story and how the Foundation deals with problems and stuff. That's where the interesting part comes from. Homing missile, that's good shit. Like that. Stick with this. Yeah, so that'll be a 2-parter. This coming week and the following week, and then after that will be the apotheosis combined video, because that'll be moving week. So oh, you tricky bitch. And I gotta say, these past few weeks, in which I've only been working on one video, have been really nice. I mean, believe me, I don't want to be an SCP only channel, but it's been really nice. Just only having to sweat one video a week and actually having like weekends to do non-work things. It's just good. It's just good. So yeah, I don't know. There might be a period of time in which I just do like Lovecraft readings every other week or so. Before I, you know, start up the polls again and start looking at another series to cover. Because, let's be real, I mean, Final Fantasy does not seem to be cutting the mustard. It's a shame. It's sort of a bittersweet thing, because it would be very cool to have a very popular series based around one of my favorite video games. I mean, that would be awesome. But at the same time, it's also a brutal amount of work, especially as a side series, because I can't ever drop SCP unless Final Fantasy became absurdly popular and I became a Final Fantasy channel. So, yeah, for a side series, I mean, it's basically like the most amount of work possible. So, you know, it's a bittersweet thing. Yeah, so for now we're just taking it easy though, not worrying about any side content. I mean, I'm barely worrying about SCP content, and so I'm putting out a apotheosis combination video. Yeah, so that's what's happening there. This gun seems super good. As for board games, we had to call it quits on Magic Realm. I tried to, you know, I tried my best to get the others involved and interested, but it's a tough sell. I mean, it is a tough sell because if you had a group of like 4 people that all knew the game, you know, backwards and forwards, and you brought in one new person, that's not that big of a deal. But when you're bringing in, you know, an entire group of new people with just me teaching, it's tough because ideally, you know, while I would be going over instructions for combat for one person, the others would all be paying attention and learning. But when it's not your turn, you're just less interested with what other people are doing on their turn. So, you know, we'd basically be playing, one person would get into a combat, I'd have to spend 20 minutes going over it step by step by step, and then the other people would just be like surfing the web because it wasn't their turn. But then on their turn, when they get into combat, or they don't, like on their turn, maybe they just do like one quick little thing, and then the other person gets back to their turn, they do another 20-minute combat, and it's just like, I can see why it wouldn't be that interesting to just sit there if you're not doing combat and just like, oh god. It's a very difficult game to learn. I mean, I'm not gonna refute that. I would hazard to say it's one of the most difficult games to learn. Aside from like Advanced Squad Leader or something. And if you entirely rely on just one person to teach you how to play without any sort of investment on your own of supplementing that education, it's rough, especially when we only get together for a couple hours a week and you just sort of, you know, you don't refresh or learn more across the week on your own. Yeah, it's just, it's a hard sell. It's a hard sell. So, like I said, I don't really blame them for not wanting to commit more of their gaming weeks to it. But it's a shame, because I do think it is an awesome game. if you get into it. That seems good. I think my pistol's pretty darn good, but we'll see. So instead, on Monday, we just went on TTS and we played a game of Cosmic Encounter. We had quite a number of, like, technical difficulties. That, you know, that mod is the official DLC that Tabletop Simulator themselves sells, which, you know, I bought. I own all the shit for that on TTS. But it's really not up to snuff. There's, like, no scripting whatsoever. It needs quite a bit of work. I didn't actually want that. Maybe I did want that. Okay. But, I mean, all in all, it was a pretty good game. It was a pretty wild game. We had a whole thing where, like, we went all the way around the table, everyone had a turn, and no one took a single colony. I mean, we, for whatever reason, all of us just went hard on defense. So we went all the way around the table with 0 colonies. That was probably a first. But yeah, that was all right. Yesterday, I decided to introduce my family to Hexplorit, Valley of the Dead King. I think that is just a great series of games that I discovered. The videos on TTS will come eventually. You'll see them. And I was very excited because it seemed like something I could play with both my friends and family. And, you know, 3 volumes out currently. The 4th volume's on the way. And it's just like, we get a lot of playtime out of this shit. But unfortunately, I went in yesterday to family game night with a pretty bad headache. And that did not help because they had a lot of questions about how to play this game. This was new. It's kind of an interesting game in that it doesn't really hold your hand. It's sort of a cross between a board game and a tabletop RPG. There's not a lot of, like, clearly defined rules. You'll see if you watch my videos on Tabletop Simulator, you'll see that a lot of the time I come to a situation, you know, even like my first playthrough of like, how does this work? What is the answer here? And you will not find an answer in the book. You will not find an answer online. You just have to decide, make a decision on the spot how you want to do it. Which is, I mean, if you play like RPGs, especially like a lighter weight RPG, that's very common. You'll do that all the time. Yeah, just do that. Waste. You'll do that all the time where you just have to make decision at the table of how you want the game to be run, and for this, you know, marginal situation that's, it's an RPG. You're not going to find an exact answer in the book or online about this specific situation in your campaign or in your session. It's just not going to happen. So that happens a lot in Hexplore It. It's not a game that holds your hand. And it's just kind of a fresh experience. I mean, it's a game in which you have a character sheet that is a whiteboard, you know, and you're drawing on this whiteboard with a marker, and you're writing down numbers and you're erasing numbers, and there's a lot of math often involved. I mean, pretty much every character's abilities is generally some sort of like mathematical formula. not like a heavy one or anything, but you will be adding and subtracting a lot, I guess, as you level up and play. You know, your main damaging ability might be your attack score plus your first mastery ability, or half your first mastery plus your attack score. And as you level up, those numbers are going to constantly increase, and you have to constantly rethink and rewrite down what damage you're going to be doing on your turn based on that little formula. It's not complicated once you get it, but it's so foreign to people that are just used to playing, like, I don't know, Catan. I mean, Cosmic Encounter has math, often. Attack cards and encounter cards and alien abilities that modify things and flare cards and reinforce, you know. So I figured they handled that. They could handle Hexplore It. But yeah, I was not really in a great teaching mood, so it wasn't a great day to introduce Hexplore It. And that's the thing with co-op games, is like, yes, if I just tell you everything to do, we can get through a game, but that's not fun for me, and that's probably not fun for you. You really need to understand it yourself in order to appreciate, you know, what's happening and make your own decisions. We didn't really get to that point. Yet. And that's the other thing with Hexplore, is you're not likely, especially your first game with 5 people, you're not going to finish it in one night unless you have very long sessions. So we definitely did not finish the game, and I don't know if we'll even finish it next time, but we'll get there. They couldn't even really make an assessment on whether they liked the game or not, because it's just, everything's so new, and they still don't understand most of the game. And it is a really cool game once you get into it. So we're going to be playing it, I'll be playing it with my friends tomorrow. They will definitely understand it much better and get into the groove. I still don't think we'll finish it tomorrow, you know, of course not, but it should be a fun time. Yeah, so that was the board game related news stories. Fuck. Yeah, no, I definitely no RPG news to talk about. RPGs are dead for the time being. Hopefully someday we'll get back to that, but I don't know when. I'm not really in a DMing mood at the moment, and not interested in having anyone in my family DM because, you know. So, without Ziggy as a DM, it's hard to say exactly. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's all there is really to say. I actually feel kind of confident about this run. Although I feel like that homing pistol was a lot better bet than this gun for the boss. So I think we'll have to find something a little better. Like, this does not have much range. Oh! Oh, good, I can get some more malfunctions. Well, now I'm just prolonging the stream for no reason, I guess. Yeah, all right. So that's all good. So check out the insect hell, if that interests you. I mean, if you really got what is that, entomophobia or whatever it is. If you really hate insects, I'm sure you'll already know to avoid it. Otherwise, I mean, I didn't really use much imagery that I think would bother people that don't like bugs. A couple of the pictures that I threw in there were like, if you've ever seen images where there's like a truck and it's like completely engulfed in insects during like a locust swarm or something. I had to throw in a few of those because it's just like, well, that's what's happening, you know? I didn't do too many. Most of the stuff in there is just like artwork of like giant fantasy bugs and stuff, which I think is more cool than like bothersome. But, you know, I'm not especially entomophobic. Arachnophobic, sure, but there's a difference. Ooh. Ooh, yes. That will be good. This'll be the gun. This'll be the gun. Yeah, so check out Insect Hell. We got more TTS content on the way. Arkham Horror. It's pretty much, I think this entire week will pretty much be Arkham Horror, the LCG. Even if I do 2 a day, I recorded like 14 parts for that. So, yeah. Hopefully you like Arkham Horror, the LCG. Which you should, because it's a fucking great card game. But if not, there'll at least be another variety stream on Wednesday, which will feature something. I'm not sure what. Maybe that Trials of Fire game, or maybe we'll find something else to play. There's always new games coming out. And Saturday, of course, we have Two Brothers Play darkest dungeon, the last hanging with Mangg in this home before I move. So it should be good. I don't know what will really be different about it as a send-off, but it will be a send-off. Alrighty. My name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. I'll see you fine folks next week.